Romancing the Dungeon is intended for mature audiences, as this show contains adult themes. Not those kind of adult themes, just sensitive stuff that some audience members may find upsetting. Content warning for specific episodes can be found in episode descriptions.
Tell me why I'm so alone when I know you're here with me.
You're listening to Romancing the Dungeon, a softcore D&D podcast about heroes navigating their daily lives while looking for love in a world full of peril, monsters, and heartbreakers.
That's the thing about the undead, and he cracks the whip in the ground. You've got to hit them just right.
With a flick of his wrist, Cael just sends the whip lunging outwards as it slashes up along Sops' back, and he stops moving. Marilla just locks her eyes on you. Clodagh, get them out of here. I'll handle this thing. Take care of my kids. And she pulls out a pink gemstone from her pocket and breaks it. The crystals rush up along her arm, entombing her in a large crystal form that spreads across the arm of Moira, the night hag. She tilts her head backwards. My city, my besties, my mate. And Marilla Whistlecoil dies.
Are you lonely, miserable, or just plain horny? Well, you've taken the first steps to solving your problems, at least your dating ones. Welcome to D8, devoted, desired, dreamy or dirty, dapper dates for dejected daters. My name is Roz Graypurse, founder, CEO, and love wizard, and we've got a half-off discount on our new service. You can't spell necromance without romance. What do you mean this is in poor taste? It's the funeral episode. Oh, the optics on this are not going to look good. Anyway, our questionnaire continues. What was the last thing that made you cry?
It was the morning after a romantic evening, and I was in the bathroom, and their partner came home, and I just zipped up too quickly. Yeah, it just brought a tear to my eye.
Well, I cry. Basically, I can cry over anything, really. Like yesterday, I cried because I couldn't find the frying pan in the kitchen. And then the other day, I cried when I saw two owners walking their dogs on opposite sides of the streets. And then over the fact that the dogs would never meet each other and be friends. Yeah, sorry.
Are you crying right now?
No.
Tragically, I was actually born without tear ducts. Very rare medical condition. I tried once and I popped a rib.
I haven't cried since the age of 6. My brother picked on me and I cried, and then I beat the shit out of him, and from that day on I swore to never cry again.
Nobody believes that. You big mopey bitch.
We're literally at a funeral. Do you have to ask me that right now?
Well, I've been chasing you for weeks. Okay, it's the one time I've managed to pin you down.
You're really hurting me.
Well, if you stop squirming and answer the question.
No, it was right now.
Great, thank you.
You had found your way back to the command centre that the Gaelshire army had set up in the market square. It was fortified with barricades, so on and forth, and you see kind of tents. And Groff had kind of eagerly awaited your return, offered you a cup of tea or something stronger. And Groff is just, again, well, it's not Groff, it's his little assistant. And he's standing there with literally a scalding tin pot full of tea and a rather thick crystal glass decanter filled with wine.
Can I grab the wine and take a big swig of it and just be like, so that was...
Well, we have glasses. I
just drank some more.
I'm ignoring her and like helping Quillo like sit down or lie down somewhere to recuperate. You bring him kind of over towards the tent and stuff like that, and you can see there's a cot. There's a few of the wounded soldiers that were being tended to by some of the healers from the Temple of Rogue, kind of gathered round, and some of the soldiers are tending to others. And you find an empty space and you kind of set him down. Where were you? I was defending one of the other gates.
I mean, before this.
In a cave in the woods. I'm sorry, I said this to you. I thought she sent a letter or something. She never informed me.
Just kind of shrugs his shoulders and he kind of kicks off his boots and he lies back into the cot. It's fine. He rolls over onto his side. I have literally a splitting headache. And give me a perception check, Fia.
Okay. 16.
When he rolls over, and you're kind of, it's a bit strange. You had this conversation. You talked to him. You've explained things, but he didn't seem to remember a whole pile of it, or it was a bit. You had a weird, like we talked about this. There was a bit of a deja vu thing from it. But as he kind of rolls over and he kind of throws himself onto the cot, in his left ear, you just see there's a little dried, at first, what looks like blood. It's black.
Can I call over someone, like a healer or something, to come and have a look?
A small little halfling woman, again, she's wearing the Temple of Rogue robes. She's passing you and she's kind of got a small box filled with bandages and stuff like that.
I'm sorry, could you have a quick look at my brother, please? There's something wrong. His memory is messed up. I'm not really sure what I can do, but and she puts the box down on the ground. How many fingers am I holding up? And she points them at Quillo, and he's literally lying on his side. He doesn't say anything. I think he's sleeping. That would probably explain why his memory is not so good. Okay.
How many fingers am I holding up? And she puts up 3 fingers to you.
3. But could you get a healer or someone, please, to check on him, please?
Yeah, sure. Maybe you should go and have yourself checked out. I will take care of your brother.
I'm perfectly fine.
I don't think so. You are talking to an unconscious man and you're saying there's problems with his memory. You don't seem to understand how unconsciousness works.
He wasn't unconscious 30 seconds before you got here.
Oh, that's very grave. Okay. And she's not right. You should have led with that. That is most important. He just passed out?
He just passed out.
Well,
yes,
then
thank you.
Please communicate clearer when there is a problem with a patient.
Just take care of my brother, please. Thank you.
She kind of claps her hands together and there's literally kind of sparkles of white light around her and she's just holding him over and she's just humming to herself. It's like a...
I'm going to just make a note of that and just go back and join Nate and see what's going on.
Hephaesta is just slugging down that decanter of wine.
I think I'm just staring her down.
I offer him some wine.
I say nothing.
Take it back and drink some more. Fuck you.
Ever so slightly awkward.
Just telepathically to Hephaesta, Cael just says, "Nice friends. Warm."
Get out of my fucking head.
Okie dokie. Your choice.
So, anybody care to explain how it was done? I assume the fellow in charge of it all has been dispatched.
Yeah, I guess, but we're not really sure how he did it.
Well, you killed him.
Yeah, but I don't know how he made it happen.
Oh, we'll find that out afterwards. Don't you worry about that. We've got loads of experts on payroll and whatnot. Don't you worry your little head.
Not expert enough to take him down, though.
Well, no, they're academics. I really don't think they quite stand up to that sort of thing. You seem to be much more cut out for these kind of things. You have a head that looks like it could take down a wall.
Thanks.
Oh, you're most welcome.
You can see Cael visibly biting his lip.
In agreement, or
at this stage, Fia has returned, and yeah, there's a clear tension just permeating around the camp.
Can I see Sekhmet lying around anywhere?
Give me a investigation check.
13.
Again, still slugging out of that decanter. The bottle more or less jammed to your mouth.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, you're kind of scanning the cots and stuff like that, and it's actually in one of the other tents. You do see several healers have gathered around her.
I'm just going to give like a really awkward thumbs up to Nate and then just kind of saunter over that way. I don't really want to involve myself. I just want to kind of like peek over them and see if she's dead.
She is.
Perfect. I'm done here. Let's go.
I don't want to interfere. Is she any pulse?
Fingers crossed. Any pulse? Any pulse? No. All of the healers seem to be working. Like this isn't 2 or 3 with a couple of assistants. They all. There's a well of magical energy just sort of surging and quickly being drained. The healers look to be struggling. She was attacked. It happened at the southern gates, but you're not really sure what actually happened to her. Any kind of wounds she might have gotten in that fight have been healed, but they're still working on her, and she seems to be completely unresponsive.
So I just lean over them a little bit, and I'm like, "So she's good, yeah?"
I'm sorry. Who are you?
Family. Uncanny resemblance. Like, come on, just what's...
They look down at her and they look up at you and they're like, sure. You can see he's still, his hands are still resting kind of over her. Look, it's not looking good. We've, all the physical trauma, the broken bones, the open sores, those have healed. She's not responding. She's not waking up. She should be waking up.
But don't you have anyone better?
And like the human male kind of just gestures over, and you see a tan-skinned, middle-aged man. Just his eyes are closed, and there is, now that you've kind of fixed on him a little bit, a lot of the power, a lot of the energy in this room, it's actually focusing in on him. The others seem to be kind of pushing it towards him. You are looking at one of the best healers in the temple. If Rashid can't do anything, then you may want to let family know.
Nope. And I just take a big swig of the wine and I walk back out.
At that exact moment, Sekhmet convulses and her eyes blink open, and there's just no. I'm on my deathbed as far as you're aware, and no.
I just bow and then I go back out and join the guy.
Rashid just falls over. Like he collapses. Really. Literally shouting after you, it's just Sekhmet. Really.
See you later.
She goes to stand up, and then she kind of loses balance, like her head spins, and we're dealing with this Hephaesta. And she grips the side of the bed, and then the healers kind of go to push her down, and one of them's tending to Brother Rashid, who literally is unconscious on the ground now. Groff is just kind of fielding soldiers in and out there, kind of reporting on various damage. They're wondering what to do with all the people who escaped through the docks onto Lake Capulet. And there's a soldier, a half-elf man standing next to him. Miss Burbage, could you please, you had mentioned, you brought it to our attention first that you felt there was a hag in the city. Would you be able to give any sort of description?
She looks like a hag. I mean, I don't know how.
And Groff is just nodding.
She had a necklace the same as Sops did. It was green.
When that Sopsy little fellow, when he was dispatched, perchance he didn't become enveloped in a pink crystalline sarcophagi?
No, he just fell dead. Why?
Well, this rather astute soldier, I had a small platoon seek out the city, just a cautionary, you understand. A hag isn't one to be trifled with. We appear to have located her. She, like Sops, has been dispatched, which is good news all round. The matter in which we're again, we'll be referring to those academics, and he looks at you dead in the eye, Hephaesta. She, unlike Sops, appears to be entombed in some sort of crystal-like status. A rather sweet pink. That's how you described it, and the half-elf soldier is just not. She didn't have an accomplice by any chance, did she?
Not that I saw. No.
It's rather strange. There appears to be a second person also entombed in it.
Another hag?
We can't really tell. It's definitely a lady, but can gnomes be hags? You didn't happen to see a gnome woman in the vicinity of the hag?
No. Whereabouts is this?
And the soldier is kind of, again, hands the report to Groff, and he's flicking through some papers. It's in the slum district. It appears to be a courtyard that links out onto the warehouse district. Something Barefoot Alley.
Nate just looks at Fia and gets a sinking feeling, and I just take off.
I chase straight after him.
I follow.
Oh, we're running now? Okay.
As the four of you run towards the slum district and heading for Barefoot Alley, Clodagh, you have your planner ally, your unicorn, has returned you, Jess, and Ike to the Copper Rabbit. Sort of just, it knew instinctively where to take you, that you felt safest in the city.
I just climb down and help Ike and Jess off my trusty steed and kind of push open the door to the Copper Rabbit.
Unicorn just kind of nudges you a little bit and then bows its head and then blink. And Ike kind of slings Jess's arm over her shoulder and she's kind of like carrying him towards the stairs. Jess, we really have to talk about a diet. This is this puberty thing is just really. And Ike just looks back over your shoulder. Clodagh?
Yes, sweetie?
Go help Mom.
I'm on it.
As you are making your way towards that courtyard, you do see that there's a few more soldiers around. There's a lot of dead undead, and you see soldiers and priests from the Temple of Brogue just kind of trying to help. They're pulling people out of the rubble. The fight, the battle, the attack on the city seems to be over, but there's still a lot of anxiety and tension and fear hanging in the air. As you come around another corner towards an arched alleyway, standing there in the dark, you see a figure just completely frozen in place, statuesque, their form twisted anyway, but just these chunks of pink crystalline shards exploding from them, and you recognize the hag that called herself Moira.
Immediately, like, her heart rate is going to increase and she's just going to look around panicked. Marilla?
Your voice just echoes. There's no response. As you slip into the courtyard, right where you left her, you see Marilla. She's standing. She's not moving.
No, Marilla, please. Please don't leave me.
Nothing happens.
Is there any guards around or anything? Like, I saw some coming in.
You had.
One in the courtyard.
Yeah, you as you look around desperately for anybody or any sign of somebody to help, a half-elf guard just sort of ducks down a side street.
Please help me.
And he stops, comes back.
I don't know what happened. Please, you have to help me.
Okay. Is somebody missing?
No, she's right here. And I gestured towards the pinkness.
Oh, okay. I don't understand.
Well, help me get her out of this.
It's Miss, you have to calm down. It's a statue.
It's not a statue. She's my mom.
I think you might be in shock.
I'm not in shock. Oh my God, can you not help me?
Tell me what happened.
She told me to leave. I shouldn't have left.
Is your mom always turning into statues?
I need help.
Okay. Sorry, that was a stupid question. Is your mom? Is she a wizard? Does she use magic? Is this a spell gone wrong?
And then her memory is going to go back to seeing the giant pink sphere that Marilla pulled out. Oh my God! It was a bomb.
And his eyes just go wide.
She saved everybody.
Your mom.
And she's just gonna collapse in a heap.
He sees the other figure. Your aunt?
She was a hag.
Oh.
She was controlling everything. I think... Oh my God. She sacrificed herself.
Okay. I am going to get somebody in charge. Why don't you stay here with your mom? And he runs off. And you're left sitting next to Marilla.
She's just going to start quietly sobbing. You promised you wouldn't leave me.
And then Nate, Fia, Hephaesta, and Cael, you arrive. And you see Clodagh.
If the first thing I see is Clodagh, I'm just going to run straight to her. And I'm just going to throw my arms around her. And, you okay?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Are you okay? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
I hold my head against her head. I pull back and I look behind her and I see Marilla.
I couldn't help her.
I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. It never should have happened.
I just wrap my arms around her and I just hold on for dear life.
We leave the five of you surrounded by guards. Three days pass. We cut to Tezrab City Hall, one of the tallest buildings in the city. Here, several city councillors are gathered alongside the captain of the city guard, and they're sitting around a kind of an amphitheatre space. The city's speaker, Mary Robinson, an Ara Corcoran woman, they all seem to be, for our Irish listeners, that's just for you. She's constantly nodding her head.
We're gonna get taken off the air.
By who? Before them, Commander Groff from the Gaelshire Army is outlining a report on the damage. Costs, estimates are going way above and beyond what the initial cost is, kind of going way more than what they thought it would be. In the middle of his report, 2 large dark oak doors are just burst open, and in storms Quillo Burbage, followed by a gaggle of reporters and various supporters, all wielding placards that decry the city's council. It's vote Quillo #1, and he starts shouting and decrying that the damage done to the city, yes, it's devastating, but there was no district hurt more than the slum and poor districts and the warehouse district, and that seems to be largely ignored by Robinson and the other councillors. You'll stand here in your great big room and clap each other on the back at a job well done. Today, this city buries a hero, and not one of you has the decency to show your respects. And then he's just yanked by the collar by a guard, and he's dragged. Quillo just rolls his shoulders, shrugs the guard off, and as quickly as he stormed in, he storms right back out. The reporters writing everything down, the supporters cheering after him. Groff just kind of fixes his spectacles on his face once again. He kind of just looks around at the room, and the councillors are all kind of looking at each other, and a few of them are kind of muttering and whispering to each other. Mary Robinson seems somewhat distracted, and as she remunerates on what that Quillo fellow said, she looks down at a small brooch on her vestment, a small green rabbit. We cut to Old Smuggler's Cove, and for the first time, and for long after, people will say they've never seen the cove as busy, as throngs of people have gathered to say goodbye to their loved ones. An officiant, a rather short furbolg, is sort of, he's moving kind of from group to group. Most people are following the age-old ancient tradition of put a body on a ship, float it out to the lake, and set it on fire. One group, a particularly riotous bunch of, well, they're all wearing kind of black leather jackets. They're all wearing kind of little crowns on their heads, are making a game of trying to shoot the corpse with the arrow before you shoot the boat, and how many arrows can you get stuck in it. And the officiant is just wondering when he can retire.
Poor guy.
But over the last couple of days, each of you have been preparing yourselves for this. Mr. and Mrs. McGucket have been flitting in and out of the Copper Rabbit. Ike and Jess have been uncharacteristically quiet. Jess is acting in a way that none of you have ever seen him. Where he would have been led by Ike, the half-orc little girl doesn't seem to understand what's happening. Occasionally she asks after Marilla and what's happened to her and why she hasn't come home. And each one of you, in your own way, have tried to comfort her or explain to her. Jess has stepped up. Jess has, and is her big brother, but you've never seen him kind of behave that way. And he has done everything he can within his ability to comfort her and to kind of keep her distracted. And as they sit there fidgeting in two very, very slightly ill-fitting, well, Ike is in a dress. You've never seen her in a dress. It's a small little black guna that she's just kind of, she's kind of ripped the back on it a little bit because she flexed and she tore the back on it, and much to Mrs. McGucket's dismay. And Jess is wearing a suit that's buttoned literally right up to the top, and he has a kind of a skinny little black tie on. They're sitting there, and Mr. and Mrs. McGucket are sort of fidgeting after them and trying to keep them still. And Arthur is up and down out of his seat, and he's trying to kind of get people a place to sit. You were aware that they're trying to expedite the the burials and the funerals and stuff like that. And they're trying to be as delicate as they can be. But when word got out that Marilla Whistlecoil was being buried, or the ceremony was today, people started drawing lots to see who could have the funeral before her. It was kind of everybody wanted, a lot of people want to be here. As the morning kind of passes on, and you were ushered into carriages, or you made your way to Smuggler's Cove either on foot, you see that all the way through Barefoot Alley, doors are open, and the threshold of each door is sloshed with water. They're all wet. A tradition that's tied to the new god of death, Finn, a big giant fat celestial whale that is meant to gobble up the souls of those who've departed and ferries them to the afterlife. The souls that he thinks doesn't taste good sit in his belly until he feels that they've repented enough, and then he brings them to the afterlife anyway. But occasionally a small gaggle of people will kind of approach, and as the carriage that is carrying Marilla Whistlecoil's ashes, she was cremated as per her request. As the carriage passes, people throw everything. They're literally throwing everything. Flowers, silk scarves, coins, pots and pans. They're just making an absolute racket of the place. And you can't help but kind of chuckle. Because Marilla loved a scene. It was like her favourite thing in the world. It was a big old scene. And a lot of people seem to respect that and are kind of chiming in with the chaos that is Marilla Whistlecoil's funeral. When you arrive, you find that the other three funerals have been dealt with. Proceedings have taken place, and out across the shores of Lake Capulet, you do see 3 small boats on fire. The crowd hasn't dispersed. Everybody who even knew her name has come out to send her a farewell. Marilla had, when word got out, because word always does, when word got out that it was Marilla Whistlecoil who saved the entire city, from the poorest urchin to the richest noble, everybody had a moment of a prayer or a thought of thanks for her, whether they knew her in person or just by her rather esteemed reputation. And you find yourselves at Smuggler's Cove, gathered and surrounded by friends and family. Amongst them, you recognise Nana, Sykes and Rash. Sykes is in his fully outfitted mattle chair that Marilla constructed. Quillo is set amongst the crowd, and again, gathered with kind of several young people. You see Ezra Gardner III set up and away, kind of down towards the back. Hephaesta, you spy Sekhmet. Give me an insight check, actually, Hephaesta.
12.
She doesn't say anything, but she just gives you kind of a look. And for a fleeting moment, there's a glimmer of sympathy in her eyes that you feel. Set in one of the rows, making a huge kerfuffle, and she appears to be undoing the top button of an usher's suit, his Ra's grey purse. There's a flurry of business cards scattered around the place as well. There's a lot of people here. I'm going to mark it. Okay. And standing on the edge of the shoreline, there's 2 pillars that are wrapped in branches and white flowers. There's an altar, and on it there's something draped in a small white cloth. Standing just off to the side, there's a rather bedraggled and tired looking tiefling man, and he's just kind of nodding along as he sees people kind of filing in. Next to Mr. and Mrs. McGucket, just to the left of them, there are 2 chairs. Behind them, there's 2 more empty. When Arthur McGucket sees you, Nate, and Clodagh, he gestures for you to come forward.
Yeah, I suppose I'll sort of turn to Clodagh and give you the sort of lead and follow you up.
Yeah, I'll just head up towards them.
Hi.
Howdy.
How are you?
How are the two of you holding up?
We'll be okay.
Clodagh just nods.
Mrs. McGucket she's just sitting there, and you see she's kind of wringing kind of a cloth handkerchief in her hand. She's dressed jet black, a huge hat, like it's just a big old huge hat.
Is it a Stetson?
It's a
lady Stetson.
It's a lady Stetson, but it's like a Stetson, but there's a rather large brim on it, like, and underneath there's just a cloud of what's clearly dyed purple and cheaply done, or at least the dye that Arthur buys her is cheap. Purple hair, like just a cloud of purple hair underneath it that sort of hangs down over the brim as well a little bit. It's just kind of engulfing her. She's wearing all black. Next to her are Ike and Jess, and Jess and Ike are just playing slaps. Jess's hands are black and blue.
Clodagh's just gonna kind of quietly whistle at the two of them.
You want to play?
Maybe save that for later. Give Jess's hands a break.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm going to win the next one. And...
Oh, God.
On a 16, he does not win, as Ike just full on, like as Jess was talking, full on just wraps him across the knuckles. And he just kind of bites down, and there's just tears at the corner of his eyes.
Clodag's just going to reach over the back of the chair and be like, okay, that's enough.
And Ike just kind of looks at you and then just looks away. And she sits down.
Yeah, Clodagh's heart's going to sink. And then she's just going to turn and look at Nate and then also sit down.
As you kind of turn back to look at Nate, Arthur sees Hephaesta and Fia, and then he's kind of gesturing at the other two seats behind the front row.
Yeah, I walk up and take a seat behind them.
Put your bag on the other one.
I'm just not even looking at her. It's like just straight ahead, just looking at anyone else besides her.
Just as quietly and as like undisturbed as I can, I just follow and sit silently, and I'm being good. Gonna be good.
Cael, give me a perception check.
11.
You do not see anywhere to sit. There's one seat. There's in your immediate space. There's one seat, and it's just at the front row, and it's on the far right of where Jess and Ike are sitting.
Cael looks down, and he's like, "Why did I pick today to wear the 7-inch stiletto?" And then, like, very slowly shuffles up and is like, "I'm so sorry. Is this seat taken? I wouldn't. There's just nothing else anywhere."
Arthur just kind of looks you up and down. No.
Okay. Well, then I am going to take it. Is that okay? You okay?
Perfectly reasonable. Yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How did
Sits down.
like Arthur's he goes to kind of say something, and then there's just kind of from the tiefling, who at this stage people are now just kind of spilling up around the cove. They're sitting up on the piers, they're sitting on rocks and stuff like that. Dearly beloved, apologies, wrong ceremony. We, the friends and family of, and he looks at his hand, Marilla Whistlecoil, gather here today to lay her to rest. What is life? Okay. Nobody wants to answer.
Baby, don't hurt me.
probably not going to get an answer with the next part then. Okay. What is death? And no answer. Okay. Just skip right through there. We'll just breeze over the next couple of parts of this, I suppose. Okay. You go to college, you want to do English as a major, you end up doing this sideshow chicken shit kings. It's all very strange. We're born, we live, and then we don't live anymore. And then apparently a big celestial whale comes down and eats us all up. And he then brings you to the afterlife. I mean, there's a lot of people here, so I assume she was a very popular lady. I didn't mean it like that. I mean, no disrespect. I just mean she's clearly touched a lot of people. Nope. Nope. I'm sorry.
Well.
I'm very tired. This is the 4th funeral today. Yeah. It all just kind of blurs itself into one, really, after that. It's all a bit... What is life, huh?
Oh no.
Why don't I just open it up to the crowd, huh? Why don't you come up here, and anybody who knew her, who wants to say goodbye to Mariella, floor's yours. And he just takes a side step away. Everybody give me a perception check.
15 for Cael.
26.
17.
21.
14.
Okay. Clodagh and Fia, you both see the officiant as he kind of steps away, just sort of shuffle his robes a little bit and take a big old swig from a metal flask.
Clodag's just going to shake her head.
Arthur kind of just looks at the both of you. Nate, you want to go up and say something?
Yeah, Nate sort of looks around and just to see is anyone else itching at all.
Roz was about to get out of her seat.
Oh my God, please.
So, yeah, Nate's gonna get up and go to the altar. If you'd please, I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about myself. When I was a child, I ran away from home. I probably wasn't much older than Jess or Ike. I didn't know where I was going or what I was going to do. All I knew is that I had to do it to protect myself. And eventually I ended up on the streets of Tezrab, and I hadn't eaten in days. Never been so afraid of dying. The merchants were wise to my tricks and apathetic to my tale. But I continued to wander the streets. And then I happened to come upon a cellar door. I descended into its depths, not knowing what I'd find, and not really caring either. It was dark and it was quiet. And it was the perfect place to hide from myself. But I smelled the food before I saw it, and I threw myself headfirst into a bread basket. And then crack. The lights went out. When I woke up, I was in a fresh bed, and Marilla was standing over me. I knew I was in trouble, but when I looked into her eyes, I saw something there that I had never seen before. Love. She smiled and she said, "You little bastard." It is a great comfort to see all the love my mother left behind reflected in the eyes of those here today. Grief is a heart swell, a love that cannot be expressed. But I will carry this pain for the rest of my days and know that I was loved. Thank you.
The official just wow. And he just wipes kind of a tear. Best one today.
Fuck you, dude.
Oh, Sam.
Gonna be hard to follow that. Nobody? Well, we get the old show on the road then. And he kind of arches his back a small bit. Miss Whistlecoil left pretty straightforward instructions as to how she was to be, and her words, disposed of. The instructions, though somewhat definitely the weirdest, will be carried out. Mr. McGucket has seen to the first part of the will, and the officiant puts a hand on the white cloth that was draped on top of the altar, and you'd seen something kind of covered over by it, and he pulls it back, and there's just a giant rocket.
Hunter S. Thompson this shit.
Miss Whistlecoil had chosen to be cremated, but had expressed that her ashes not be interred on top of some dusty mantelpiece, and in parentheses that she knows that bested Nate won't clean. So she requested that her body be returned to the afterlife in the same fashion she believed she came into this life. And again, I quote, and she put it so eloquently herself, a big fucking explosive mess. And at this stage, the crowd are laughing. Like, everybody is just having a chortle to themselves. Miss Whistlecoil's ashes are to be rocketed above the waters of Lake Capulet, and there exploded, scattered to the winds. I would now like to ask Ike and Jess to come and light the rocket. Again, as per her wishes. And I just kind of light up. And Jess just kind of looks down at her, and they walk over, and there's a little candle, and the tiefling priest just kind of clicks his fingers a little, like he rubs them together, but there's a little bit of friction and sparks, and the candle lights, and then it goes out. Does it again, and then it goes out. Sorry, must be one of those trick candles we I do birthdays as well. And Ike just takes kind of a small little flint out of her pocket and just cracks it off the altar. Sparks light up, and then the cloth lights on fire. And Jess takes the candle and kind of puts it into the fire, kind of just holds it up. Jess just looks around at everybody. I can't do it. I can't say goodbye. And Ike puts a hand on his hand, and she closes it. Isn't that goodbye? She's going to be in the sky, you dummy. And Jess just looks down at her, and he smiles. And Ike just kind of guides the candle towards the fuse. And it sparks up with a hiss and a fizz. And immediately Arthur just grabs them both by the cuff and just pulls them away from the rocket. And for a moment, the crowd just watches with bated breath. And there's just a screaming roar as the rocket shoots straight upwards. And it loops, it whizzes back and forth, it drops and then shoots straight back up. It's a full spectacle, this rocket, as it almost roller coasters on its flight path. And then for a moment, it just blinks. And there's a flash of light. And there's a pop. And you can just make out the faint sparkle of powder as it glitters in the sky. And then it just starts to rain. Well, that's that. Family and friends and all those wishing to pay their respects can find their way to the Copper Rabbit. There's some food and light beverages to be served, not for free. Again, as expressed in Miss Whistlecoil's testament. Over the course of the next few minutes, as people shuffle out, a lot of people come to the front to offer their sympathies, shake your hand. Nate, Clodagh, Cael, actually, because you're sitting at the front row as well, and a lot of people are offering their sympathies to you.
Thank you so much.
And then it's just the five of you. There's a carriage at the top of the road to take you back into the city.
After all of you.
I just kind of stand back and wait to see what Nate and Clodagh are going to do. Just wait for them.
I'll stand up next to Clodagh and I will take her by the hand. And we'll walk to the carriage.
Cael jokingly slips his hand into Hephaestus.
I whip my hand away and just glare at him.
He smiles.
Okay. So Nate and Clodagh, you just start walking hand in hand towards the carriage. Hephaesta, Cael, much the same.
Yeah. Assuming they let me in.
Yeah. And Fia, yeah, you see that they just, nobody says anything, but, well, with the exception of Hephaesta and Cael, nobody's talking, and you all just clamber into the carriage.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit longer to get into the city. There's a lot of people just heading back in. And as you can draw through the warehouse district into the slum district and towards Barefoot Alley, where the Copper Rabbit is found, it's thronged with people. Like, everyone is using anything that could be used as a table or a chair to sit on and put drinks on and food on. And people are just shuffling in out of their homes, their flats, just bringing out everything they can to feed each other, to offer a drink to their neighbour, to their friend, to those who've come to bid farewell to Marilla. But as the carriage draws near, the driver turns back. I think the five of you might have to get in there on foot. It's quite busy, and I don't think I can navigate the carriage safely through these people without killing people.
That's okay. We'll walk from here, and I get up to open the door and hold it open for everyone.
I'll get out and help Clodagh out.
Once the two of them are out, then I stop holding the door.
Just take a deep breath. I am a changed woman. I do not get mad about things. And then I slam that fucking door open and step out myself.
Hey, you didn't think to bring flats, did you? I didn't realize we were going to be doing so much walking.
No!
Do you know
I
what?
wear boots.
No, that's fair. My feet are quite a bit smaller than yours. It wouldn't have worked anyway. Come on.
So far we've established that you have very large feet and a head that can knock walls in this episode. So I would like to see that fan art.
Big flaming homunculus just...
Eldritch Blast. Nate and Clodagh, as you're making your way towards the Copper Rabbit, a lot of people are kind of parting ways to let you through, but as many are stopping, putting a hand on a shoulder, giving you a hug or shaking your hand and offering their sympathies and their apologies. As busy and all as it is outside on the streets, the Copper Rabbit seems to be just the nearest and dearest. It's McGucket, the McGuckets, Ike and Jess. It's kind of like the regulars that would have been kind of floating in and out. Set over in a corner with a rather large Goliath in full suit. I mean, like smartwear, not armor suit. Just behind him, you see, those of you who'd recognize her, you see Mary Robinson sat there just sipping. Sekhmet is set, and a couple of bookish types are kind of gathered around her, and they're asking questions and they're talking. And you see Quillo is perched at the bar, and again, a gaggle of people around him. And when you step through, Ike and Jess just kind of are in the middle of playing Smack Rat, Sans the Rat, literally hitting stuff with sticks for fun. Arthur kind of stands up, and everyone, on seeing the four of you plus Cael enter, kind of turns to look. And he approaches you with kind of a tray of sandwiches. Well, I reckon Miss Miller will be really proud of that spectacle.
Who's the big guy in the suit? Is that one of our exes?
Mary Robinson just kind of brings her hands up over her face and just shakes her head. I told you, I really didn't need a bodyguard. I know these people.
Is there anyone serving behind the bar, or?
Because it's just sort of immediate family inside. There's nobody kind of behind the bar, but there's a couple of bottles of wine. There's your favorite dwarven cherry whiskey, dragon breath brandy. And then there's non-alcoholic stuff there as well. McGucket, as he was holding the tray, he was one hand to the other hand as he was talking to you, he was shoveling a sandwich into his face, just kind of out of nerves since he's a nervous eater.
I'll grab a bottle of dwarf cherry whiskey and take a swig, offer it to Clodagh.
She just shakes her head.
And I'll go down and sit in the wingback chair that's next to the fire.
Clodagh's just going to put her hand on McGucket's arm and say, "Thank you for all your help."
Help? Clodagh, you know exactly. Merla Whistlecoil has found 10 things wrong with what happened there today.
Well, we appreciate it.
Well, we're family. And family. And he looks around. We stick together.
She just nods.
I reckon we have a new family member. And he looks over at you, Cael. I didn't know you knew Marilla or the others, but you're welcome.
I don't really, and the whole thing's been quite a bit awkward, so best not draw attention to it, please.
Rightio then. Why don't you sit yourself down there by Mrs. McGucket? She's not much of a talker. We can get you a sandwich. It's not a pick on you. You're a fine specimen of a person.
Cael's eyes have been locked with McGucket this entire time.
And I reckon you could use a sandwich. And he shoves another one into his mouth.
Okay. Do you know what? When I was asking about the drinks, I was going to help. Is there anything you need done that could actually help things here?
Drinks.
Yeah. If you would maybe want to see if anybody wants a drink freshen up, that would be mightily kind of you.
Absolutely. Can do. And pats him on the shoulder.
Quite soft hands. And he just kind of turns back and he sees you, Nate, sitting in the chair, and he just puts the tray of sandwiches down next to it. Give me a perception check. Doesn't make a difference. McGucket got a nat 20.
13, yeah.
Okay. As you're kind of sitting there, you're just kind of looking into the fire, he kind of slips the bottle of cherry whiskey away. Like he just takes it And it's just that kind of like little whip around where he put the sandwiches down, pick up that bottle, and he just walks away. And he just goes back to sitting by Mrs. McGucket, and
I put my hand on Clodagh's arm and I just said, do you want something to eat or a drink?
Maybe just some tea.
Okay. I get that in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
No.
I'll come with you.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know where anything is. I just wanted to be helpful.
That's okay. How about I make it and you can keep me company.
Okay.
Just head to the kitchen.
Yeah.
Fia and Clodagh, you pass by Cael. Nate sitting on the chair just looking into the fire. Hephaesta, you were stood.
Can I just like look around? Is there anyone here who doesn't hate me?
I mean, Mary Robinson's fairly different to you.
I'm just gonna go sit at the bar.
Okay. You prop yourself down at the bar, and the gaggle of people that had kind of swarmed around Quillo just kind of dissipates a little bit, and they shuffle on inside.
So, how's the politician thing going?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's good.
How's the not being dead thing going?
Not bad, yeah.
And he kind of just eyebrows or kind of throws a look at Cael.
Don't really know. Probably could be worse.
Cael like takes a sniff of an open bottle and says, "Oh my god, I didn't think spirits could go off."
Maybe could be worse. Guess I could be dead.
Or he looks over his shoulder and he looks at Nate. He doesn't say anything, but he just looks at Nate.
Don't know, really.
Hey, look. Gotta hit rock bottom sometime.
I just turn around in my chair and, like, I don't know, face a wall. Like,
You're facing Sekhmet.
oh, jeez.
Welcome to a family funeral my way.
So, how's the not being dead thing going?
I mean,
I always knew you could do it.
same. I think we've finally got something in common.
Unfortunately.
So what's the plan now?
Don't know. Don't really have one.
You hang around to see if she left you anything in the will?
It's worth a try.
Yeah.
She didn't like me, but there was some mutual respect there.
And Sekhmet looks around the room. Seems to be a lot of people here who don't really like you.
I'm used to it. Grew up with you.
And she smiles. Oh, we did.
How's, the rest of them?
Not dead.
That's something.
Mom didn't really say much.
It's probably for the best.
She said Dad's expanded on the forge.
Nice. I know he's been wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Are those drinks, are they ready? Are the drinks ready?
I don't know if this is actually potable.
Just give it to me.
Okay.
Give me a roll of a d20. And I figure Cael knows how to make a drink, so you can add your proficiency bonus to that.
Sorry, 13 plus what's proficiency? 3?
Yeah.
16.
It's strong.
Perfect.
It's that strong, and it's alcohol, and it's in a nice glass that is. Did Cael bring his own glassware? Because you've never seen glasses looking as clean in the Copper Rabbit. In the kitchen, Clodagh, you are you have a pot on a small stove just boiling away. Fia, you watch as Clodagh just whizzes around the kitchen grabbing cups and a small little metal tin. And she's pulling out some dried leaves. She's putting them into a little strainer and she's busying herself.
Can I help in any way at all? I was going to make you tea.
That's okay. I think we should make Nate some. He hasn't drank anything except dwarf whiskey for a few days.
That's probably a good idea. Oh, where are the cups?
Just over there. I point to a cupboard.
Yeah, and I start helping out what little ways I can by grabbing things like that.
Fia, you reach into the cupboard. When you open it, you were kind of expecting the same stuff you'd see in the bar.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of what are obviously handmade mugs, and you can just see kind of three small little clay cups. One with the letter M on it, one with the letter J on it, and one with a little I on it.
I just kind of stare at them for a minute and then just kind of touch one slightly, but go and I reach for 2 other cups.
You don't want some?
No, I'm okay. I just kind of want to help out. Don't be worrying about me. Is there a tray maybe as well? Where would I find one of those?
Yeah. Clodagh like, a tray?
And a copper rabbit.
Or, I don't know, like a plank of wood or something.
Oh, yeah, right over there.
There's a stack of wood in the kitchen.
I get one that's kind of like flat tray-esque, just to put the cups and the pot on and stuff like that to carry out.
Before they leave, I'm just going to turn to Fia and say, Nate's really going to need your help getting over this.
Of course, yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, he'll have the 2 of us anyway.
And she's just going to smile and head back out to the bar.
I just kind of square off my shoulders a little bit again and take a deep breath, and I walk back out into the bar. I go over to where Nate's sitting and I hold out a cup of tea to him. Here.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Just grab that. I grab the cup off of her.
Do you want anything to eat?
No, I've got like a full tray of sandwiches.
Well, my God, it's been back and forth. So. There's a couple of crusts.
Yeah, maybe get 1 or 2 into you, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And then I go over to Clodagh then with a cup of tea for her as well.
Thank you.
You need to eat something too.
I will.
Like now, please.
She begrudgingly picks up a sandwich and waves it at Fia and then eats it. She's going to look around for Ike and Jess.
They are sat with Mr. and Miss McCucket.
Okay.
And listening intently.
Yeah, she's just going to leave them to it then.
Well, I reckon Miss Marilla, she'd be knocking kneecaps. This is a sorry excuse for a wake. I'm calling it. That's it. You've got 5 seconds to get last of them tears out. No more crying. I ever tell you folks how me and the missus met?
No.
Well, Marilla brought the 2 of us together. And he reaches down for Mrs. McGuckin's hand and she just slaps it. And it's like literally he got a belt of a couple of rings. Yep. Me and Bridget, we were, before we were knocking boots, we were knocking heads, as they say. We were adversaries in business before we were entangled in bed. And we were way before way before any of you whippersnappers were causing ructions and ruckus. We were fighting over who got the contract to supply the Copper Rabbit when Marilla first opened. And I know Mrs. McGucket here was not exactly pleased when I beat her. Undercut her really well. Oh, I had a supplier. I was able to get my hands on some top quality goods. And you just hear a heh from Mrs. McGucket. And that's when things went south. See, Mrs. McGucket here is not one to be done out of a deal. And she went well, she reckoned I had something nefarious going on, and I was trying to pull a fast one on Miss Marilla. And I think everybody here knows that nobody pulls a fast one on Marilla Whistlecael. Nobody. And everyone's like, oh yeah, no, God, no. Like, nope. Well, herself and the wife, well, she wasn't the wife at the time, they came and they confronted me. Words were exchanged. If I remember correctly, a fist or two were exchanged as well when he rubs his jaw. We see, I had the wool pulled over my eyes. And I thought that what I was selling was top quality. But it turns out I've been hoodwinked. In my younger days, I wasn't the fine, distinguished salesman that you all have come to love and respect. I was really hoping somebody would agree there, but that's fine. That's fine.
That was nothing.
Thank you, Miss Clodagh. That's mighty kind of you. Well, after the bruise on my jaw healed and I could talk again, I told them where they could find the gang, and it was... We ain't talking the gangs that you folks, and he looks particularly at Ike and Jess, run with these days. Real tough. Real mean. Oh yeah. Well, I remember this one particular group, the gang that I was doing my dealings with. Halfling group. The kneecappers. Oh. They'd sooner take the legs out from under you, rob you blind, than give you directions. Well, when I went and I confronted them with Bridget and Marilla, they weren't exactly pleased. Truth be told, I don't think Marilla went there to get her coin back. Copper rabbit in hand. Well, let's just say the kneecappers didn't have a whole lot of kneecaps left. And when the dust settled and my vision returned, I saw for the first time Bridget. All woman. And a couple of days later, Marilla Whistlecael married us right here in this very spot. And Mrs. McGucket shifts a little bit in her seat. And you see that she has a brooch of a small green little rabbit. It's the only splash of colour on her entire black ensemble.
That halfling band, the kneecappers, didn't they run a brothel called the Thigh Highs?
Mrs. McGucket covers Ike and Jess's ears. You're right. They went straight into the sex industry.
Yeah. No, I'm familiar.
Hephaesta finds this hilarious, by the way.
Well, McGucket just kind of slaps his thighs and he gets sandwich grease on his pants.
From what?
Sorry, yeah, sandwich grease.
Greasy sandwiches. There's bacon in the sandwich.
Peanut sandwiches.
Yeah.
Peanut butter.
Yeah, greasy sandwiches.
Greasy peanuts.
We had greasy peanuts, now we've got greasy sandwiches. Season 2.
Still greasy.
It's still greasy. What about the rest of y'all? Come on. She's not around. And you know Miss Marilla, she'd love nothing better to hear than everybody else poking fun.
All right. I put my legs up like on the stool and shove myself way over the bar to grab a bottle like from behind Cael. I just fucking grab it and I turn around and sit down and take a big swig out of it because fuck him. I do what I want. So I just start chugging.
I'm just looking at her with daggers.
Thumbs up to Fia.
Seeing that, I want to go over and take the bottle off of her when she gives me the thumbs up.
Okay.
Fucking fight me for it.
Okay. Both of you give me strength opposing saving throws. Opposing strength saving throws.
15.
3.
Okay. You give her the thumbs up. Fia storms over and just snags the bottle straight from your hands.
I just climb out of the bar and grab another one.
Sit down.
I was sitting down.
Stop making this about you.
And I just start drinking again.
Clodagh is giving you looks, Fia. Stop making a scene.
I'm not. She is.
She was telling a story about the dearly departed. You stormed up in a tizzy and grabbed the bottle from her hands.
I think for the first time in her life, Fia walks away from him and back into the kitchen.
He rolls his eyes.
Finding the awkwardness absolutely unbearable, Cael just proffers to the room at large. Anybody else got a story about Marilla Whistlecoil?
Well, it's tradition that a stranger amongst us, a new friend, offers their version, their words. They join us. They form part of a new family. Where we lost one, we gain somebody new. And I reckon, and he just looks right over at you, Cael.
Cael's feverishly trying to clean a glass that somehow seems to be getting dirtier the more he scrubs it.
The cloth is very dirty.
Yes. I'm getting that.
Sir?
He kind of brushes his hands off on his blouse and kind of addresses nobody in the room. I'm going to be honest, I don't generally hang around long enough after a death to get to this point. I don't really... What is life? No, I'm sorry. Kidding. You know what? Life is a long string of having to endure things like this. Death on scales vast and unthinkable things, and at the same time deeply, deeply personal. And that is not to be overlooked, because it will mean different things to each of you. And Marilla Whistlecoil will mean different things to each of you. And I can't say definitively what any of you will take from this, or any of you have taken from her, or what she's given to any of you. But what I can say is that regardless, based on what I saw of her, which admittedly very pretty, the pink crystal, I could not imagine anyone, except for a woman like that, to be the type of person who might, somewhere at this very moment, be attempting to figure out how to pilot a whale. But if there's a way, I'm damn sure she'll find it. And he raises a glass.
Arthur and Mrs. McGucket gets to her feet as well, and they're like, I can just also have glasses now as well. They all lift a glass, and just as McGucket roars or is about to roar for cheers or another salute to Louise and Cael, there's a huge commotion outside. Everybody give me a perception check.
11.
23.
That one.
Okay, you're just so wrapped up in yourself and what you just said that you're like,
God, that was such a good speech.
yeah, Cael, you're just in love with yourself.
12.
Okay. Basically, everyone but Cael hears what happens. Like literally, everyone is about to kind of like applaud and cheer and like kind of cry, and Cael, you're standing there expectantly. So
It's actually mid-bow.
yes, everybody is fixed on the debacle and the sounds of hogs outside as people are roaring and screaming, and you hear stuff getting smashed. And next minute, the doors of the Copper Rabbit are knocked down as a giant brown hog just barrels through. Sekhmet and her party are squashed up against the wall. Stuff is knocked and sent flying everywhere. And immediately, right behind the hog, comes barreling in a giant furball dressed in leather, hide and fur armor, and she's wielding just two brass knuckles in her fists, and she throws a punch at the nearest person, which happens to be an academic, and that guy, his head, he's out for a count, like he's just gone. There's a cracking of teeth, and the boar just comes in, and it's now everyone actually but Cael, give me dex saving throws, because the rest of you are all kind of out in the floor, except Fia, because you're in the kitchen.
Yep.
You actually, Fia, you heard the commotion. You haven't seen any of this.
Yeah.
15.
Okay.
6.
12.
Okay, so Clodagh takes 6 bashing damage, and Hephaesta and Nate take 3. As you are all knocked about the bar, this hog is just kicking and ramming into everything, and in the commotion of it all, Cael and Fia, you kind of come out and kind of pop your head around the bar, and you see that Quillo is kind of standing in the doorway as well. You see atop the hog a gnome woman, just this mass of black wiry hair and a red streak dyed through it, and she leaps off the boar with a "Nyah!" and onto the ground and just bull rushes you all. Initiative rolls, please.
What the fuck?
Marilyn 2.0, she's back.
23.
6.
Okay.
10.
4.
12. Fia, as you rush out and you see that Quillo is standing kind of there, as you go to move, because he got higher than you, rushes right past you, leaps over the bar, grabs Sekhmet, and just disappears out the front door with her.
Okay, I draw out my Raven's Talon, and I'm holding my action in case any of these guys attack any of my friends. And by friends, I mean Clodagh or Nate.
Okay, the gnome barbarian. And on a 22, she pile drives straight into McGucket. You literally, the gnome woman just... and just charges straight into McGucket, pile driving into him. As quick as she does, Mrs. McGucket is on top of her, and they're just throwing punches at each other. The hog... Oh, okay, the hog is rolling. Oh my god, I'm rolling really well with this. The hog, it can't charge, but it's going to try and... Yeah, the hog is just going to smash up the bar. The hog back kicks, and Cael, where you were, he's just put his 2 back legs through the bar. It was barely standing as it was. It was a pretty shaky setup. There's a smashing of glass and wood, and the boar and you now have kind of like... You've nothing kind of between you and it. Clodagh.
I'm going to cast Animal Friendship on the boar.
Ruining all the fun.
Ah, girl.
God damn it.
I'm a pacifist.
It's what my character would do.
Wisdom saving throw.
Oh, I think that's very against your spell save DC. Come on, be less than 16.
13.
Yep. You focus on the boar, and you're like, okay, what song do the boars like? What did they? And you start kind of half singing, half humming something at it, and the boar kind of looks, kind of turns its head from you, snorts, and then lets out just a big, like it just. There's a wet thwack as it just blows snots out of its nostril, and a big thick booger splats on the ground at your feet, as if to say, that's what I think of your friendship.
Rude.
Bonus action.
Who's next?
Hephaesta.
And after that, you know what? I'm just going to give bardic inspiration to Nate.
Okay.
Why even ask?
Okay. So Nate, you have bardic inspiration, which is ideal
They're just gonna inspire each other. Pew 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 pew.
because
No, you're great. No, you're great.
the Furbolg woman rushes in, and Nate, she's going to go and try and slug you. On a nat 1, that's not going to happen though. So you have a free action against her.
As it's a free action, I'm just going to take my virgin cocktail that I have in my hand and smash it into her face.
Okay.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Give me. You don't have improvised weapon,
no, I don't.
so
no.
just make a straight up attack roll.
Do I get to add like dex or strength to that?
You get to add your strength.
Okay, so I mean it's a 19 plus whatever my.
Yep, that'll hit. So roll a d4.
I rolled a 4.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Thanks.
You swoop your drink up off the ground, take a sip from it. Oh, ugh, it's virgin, and then smash it into her head. And you see kind of shards of glass sticking in her hair. There's like kind of an orange sticky liquid that's kind of like running down the side of her face. It is actually now your action, your turn.
Aha. Okay, I think as my hand sort of follows through, sort of smashing the glass, I'm going to come down and I'm just going to assume I have my rapier on me, as a hero does, and just make an attack with my rapier. That's a 21 to hit.
That does. You roll your damage. Just always roll your damage at the same time anyway,
Yeah.
in case you haven't. But
Grand. So that is 5 plus 3, so 8 damage.
in that same kind of motion, as you said, as you smash the glass, you reach for your rapier, and as you do, and you draw it across, you see the rapier catch with her, and it slices into her armor and stuff like that. But she kind of grabs the blade, and she's wearing gloves. She's winded, but you don't see any blood, and she's now holding your sword. Festa.
So I just want to take another swig and throw the bottle down and go, woo! And can I jump on top of the boar and try to like,
Okay. You can jump onto the boar. We're going to do opposing strength checks to see if this thing throws you off.
Oh, God.
I got a nat 20.
I got a 4. So how about that, bitch?
So you smash the bottle, scream woo, throw yourself at the bar, land on it, and immediately you are catapulted across the bar, just towards kind of Nate and the fireplace. You narrowly avoid the flames as you crash into the wall, sending kind of a bookshelf with some dusty books and ornaments on it crashing to the ground. Take 9 bashing damage.
I love that.
Oh no, our Hephaesta. She's
Cael watches this happen, laughs a little, and
Laughs a lot.
It's a funeral.
You have to have a laugh.
and then casts his arms out kind of in the general direction of the room and says, everybody, it'd be nice if we calm down because some of this stuff is explosive and I don't know how much. And he casts calm emotions.
The furbug failed.
17.
You succeeded. You can be angry
Oh my
still.
god, okay, so
13.
God damn it.
You failed. You were already pretty chill anyway.
In the middle of, actually I have to roll for the McGuckets. Oh, No. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, the fight stops. No, you hold your hands out, and it is that kind of like you speak with kind of a commanding voice. And everybody but the boar, because everybody failed, right?
I succeeded.
Okay, so
So I stand up and I'm just like, oh, let's go.
and the boar doesn't count. So the two of you can go and fight the boar. Yeah, let's continue.
Just like old times.
I just keep hitting the furball going, you're not my mom, you're not my mom.
There is are you serious about that?
No.
Okay. Because the spell ends if the target is attacked or harmed by a spell or witnesses any of its friends being harmed. So this is a very tenuous piece.
Okay.
You guys don't know that.
So it's like a kind of a precarious, a fragile calm falls over the bar as the gnome and the furball women stop brawling. Outside, you can still hear a bit of a scuffle happening, but you can't really see it. And you definitely hear hogs squealing and like people roaring and shouting and stuff still getting smashed. But here inside the Copper Rabbit, there's a very, very thin layer of calm just holding everything. And the boar lets out a snort, and it looks at the furball and it looks at the gnome, and they just seem kind of chill.
Psychically, to who looks the least frazzled right now?
Hephaesta and Nate.
Least frazzled?
Yeah.
Okay.
Camus.
Probably Clodagh.
Psychically to Clodagh, you hear a voice in your head saying, this lasts for 1 minute. So if you could just calm things down in 1 minute, that would be great.
Fia, it's your turn.
I'm calm as balls.
Okay.
So I am. So I'm just like, okay, that's fine. I'm calm. It's cool.
The gnome woman kind of just... She just kind of pulls herself out of the tussle. And she pulls back. She pulls kind of the goggles forward and kind of they slap onto her forehead. I've had better, you bollockses.
Who are you?
It's me, Estrella. Estrella Whistlecoil.
Fuck off.
Nick, come here. It's your auntie.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
You were only this high when I... wait, was it this high? Nah, you were a babe. You were only a babe. Oh, look at you. You're all grown up. And, ooh, what a grown up, you little sputz. Huh?
Yeah, I'm sorry to say, Estrella, you're late to the festivities.
You already had it. And she takes out a rolled piece of parchment and she unfurls it, takes a quill, flicks it across her tongue, and then scratches a big tick mark into start a bar brawl at the funeral, Estrella.
What is that?
Oh, it's Marilla's last will and testament.
What? Clodagh just...
We did the rocket thing, right? You blew her up, right? You blew her up.
Yeah, she's yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, she'd be really pissed if we didn't do that. So that's done. Okay. We went out and we found those kneecappers and we gave them a good see into, and she starts to like shoulder, or like she's nudging Beth into the thigh, or actually no, sorry, the calf, because Beth is pretty much hunched down in here. And yeah, she like, I mean, it was pretty somber. You gotta admit, it's a pretty somber week.
The spell will have probably worn off around now, and Cael just yells out, "Who wants drinks?"
Oh, I like the cut of this lady's gym.
Thank you. I don't know what's good. Do you know what's good?
I'll just put it all in a bucket.
I like this lady.
He like throws up in his mouth.
Come on, you little bollocks. Come on. Drinks all round. Drinks on me. Drinks on old Auntie Estrella. Come on, Nate.
That was specifically not in the rules. Everyone pays.
Flesh and blood, huh? Flesh and blood's funeral, and I have to pay.
Yeah, Marilla doesn't give a shit about that. You know that.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Bitch. Yeah, the old bitch. She's dead. Jesus. God.
Clodagh just looks...
of fucking.
yeah, fucking right. And stand you when you were a child.
They're like John and Mary.
Fucking love this lady right here.
So, who we got here? I recognize the name. You can tell. You must be Fia. She looks over at Clodagh.
Oh no, I'm Clodagh.
Huh?
I work here.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh.
She just kind of sits down.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I'm Fia.
Ugh. I assumed you were a dish lady or something. I'm so sorry.
I don't work here.
Not that you've ever worked a day in your life. Huh?
Hi, Hephaesta.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, that's fair.
Rella's never brought you up.
No, yep. All right, checks out.
So here's the bucket. I don't know how you want to go about this. Do you want to just kind of dunk your heads in, or
We got manners. And she just puts both of her hands in and shakes out a handful of it. Estrella and I we've been charged. Marilla thought it would be ideal if we were to enact her last will and testament. So we have been instructed that this is a private affair, and only named parties are to participate. And she starts kind of patting herself down, and she's like, "It's and then the hog just squeals, and over its back there on the saddle and stuff, that there is a couple of like knapsacks. Beth sees what she's looking for, and it's another piece of paper, and it's not the bucket list, it's the actual will and testament. We need to speak to Mr. and Mrs. McGucket, and Arthur and Bridget stand up. And then, and she looks down, she lifts the leg up, and she kind of half-pressed Ike and Jess to the floor. Like, she wasn't crushing them, but she pinned them. And then, you two must be Ike and Jess. And Ike is now like chewing on the heel of her boot. And Jess is like, I'm gonna die. And then Clodagh, and we have Nathaniel. That's great. And again, it's lovely to meet you. I've heard a lot about you from Estrella. No, you haven't. I never talk about that little shit thing. And we have Miss Fia and Estrella, can you... the last part is just... It's kind of scratched and sort of aggressively written. Asbestos. We're looking for asbestos.
Present.
Okay. Well, the rest of you, fuck off. Not you. We need drinks.
I poured it all into the bucket.
Oh, well, put it in some cups.
Yes, madam.
Okay. So, she's dead. And that's very sad. Okay? We can all agree to that.
Hear, hear.
Thank you. The will actually required somebody to add to that. So thank you.
The will is a call and response.
When I say dead, you say money. Dead, money.
So, some of you absolute bollockses possibly know that Marilla wasn't well. She always looked like shit next to me, but that's aside. She was, I'm sure, to some people's taste, I'm sure there was somebody out there that just loved that. Okay. But she hadn't been too well the last couple of weeks. Months, really. And she said there was a fight. Some assassins, some typical Marilla bullshit probably.
And it just made things worse when she got caught up in it. She looked for a cure. Beth and I, we took the roadhogs out and we scoured Gaelshire too, but there was nothing. Just buy her some time. The headaches were getting worse. She's Marilla. Stubborn as an ass. Twice as ugly. She went out her own way. Now, it says here, you can't be sad. You can be angry. You can be pissed. But not for too long. She wouldn't want it. It's bad for you. Bad for the blood. Look at this one. You can definitely tell she spends most of her life pissed off at the state of her. She's aged 15 years, definitely. Poor asbestos. Okay. So there's some things we gotta resolve now. Okay, so Marilla has left some of you some stuff. And most of it's intact. Okay? And I only took the cheap stuff. Mr. and Mrs. McGuggin, you suckers have to take care of the brats. I can guess. That was my stomach. Have a deep.
It's like it said, somebody get this woman a funeral sandwich.
No, I can Jex. No pressure. But Marilla said, if you wanted, and no pressure, but if you don't do it, you're basically breaking her heart. You can take on the Whistle Coil name. You're her brood. Her babies. Her bubbalas. Her little bollockses. Huh? And whether you do or don't, no consequence to me. You two. When Ike turns 18, the copper rabbit is yours. It's your home. Until then, Mr. and Mrs. McGucket, it's yours to run. Hopefully not into the ground, like all those other business ventures of yours are. Oh, and there's a proviso, Jess and Ike. You only get to take over so long as neither of you has a criminal record. Or at least you just don't get caught. Okay, just don't get caught. That's my advice. You just don't get caught. To Nate. Nothing. I'm just fucking with you. To Nathaniel Obsidian McKnight. My son. I leave you the third most precious thing in my life. I leave you my fortress of aptitude and the contents therein.
What?
You will find it on a smile island on Lake Capulet.
A smile.
Shut up. I've been doing this for a couple of hours now and I'm starting to lose the ability to word.
She's mourning.
Yeah, I'm in mourning for my sister.
Minus pints for all of you.
Yeah. Fuck off.
Nice.
Now, specific instructions, Nathaniel. You are to pack up your shit. And tomorrow, you and your nearest and dearest and Fia and Hephaesta piss face are to go with him, or else he doesn't get zip, squat, nada, nothing. Fuck all, it'll blow up. Okay, well, you have that there. Okay, well, that's on you. You got a fortress. Good for you.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Miss Clodagh Meadowmoon. This is yours. And as Estrella is reading from the scroll, Beth moves to the hog and draws out a...
Please say it's from the knapsack.
It's from the knapsack.
Okay.
From a bag on the boar's back, she takes out something wrapped in cloth and she unrolls it. And there you see
a short walking stick, the copper rabbit, and around it there's a note. To my Clodagh, you were and are one of the special ones. One of my little bastards. One of those who came into my life and changed me. You've got heart, girlie. Don't waste it here. Take the cane. Strike out on your own. The world will know your name. And if it doesn't, hit it upside the head. Then it'll definitely know your name. I love you. N. Oh, that's it. There's nothing else. Fia and asbestos, you don't get anything. I mean, you get to go on a holiday with this schmutz, but...
Great. Fantastic.
Okay. And Estrella just takes out the other scroll and the quill and she takes it off. Okay, that's the wheel done.
Bye.
Well, see, Marilla and I had a bet. If I died first, she was to marry the first putz she was with, or the last putz that she was with. If she died, I was to finally settle down. And Estrella just kind of flaps out her coat, and from her pocket she draws out a small little box and she opens it. Beth Whittlefinger, will you do me the honour of becoming Mrs. Beth Whistlecoil? And Beth just wallows up. Oh, Estrella, yes! And she literally scoops down, picks her up, and gives her a huge kiss on the face. Okay, so we're going to need a priest, and some flowers, and drinks. We need wedding drinks now, no more funeral drinks.
I had these in highballs. I don't know if she has flutes.
Okay, well, find some flutes. Okay, is there a flautist? We need a flautist. Come on, it's a celebration. We're getting married. It's a wedding. Nate, get out your old fiddlestick there. Twang on it or something. I don't know. What? It's a wedding.
It's uncomfortable.
Arthur shimmies himself, takes his cap off his head, flips it over, pops it out, and it goes from black to white.
Oh my god.
Straight on. Well, perfect place. It's where me and Mrs. McGuckin got married. Beth, with the list, checks off get hitched. Later that night, as the party continues on downstairs, and Nate, with Fia watching his imbibing of whiskey throughout the evening, gets into a more of a festive mood and takes to the stage. And though he's playing for Marilla, Estrella takes the attention for herself and her wedding. The bar is filled with hogs, bikers, I suppose hoggers. You can't really call them bikers, hoggers. Everybody from all walks of life comes in to celebrate Estrella Whistlecoil and Marilla Whistlecoil. And as the party continues on downstairs, Clodagh Meadowmoon slips through the crowd, knapsack and copper rabbit, saying goodbye to nobody. She takes one last look over her shoulder and she sets out to make the world her own. And upstairs from a window, Ike just waves goodbye, knowing somewhere, sometime, she'll see Clodagh again. Or else. And it only fit to leave the way she came. Clodagh heads out through the north gate. And as the two moons sit overhead and are reflected on the still waters of Lake Capulet, it felt only right she head to the old Smuggler's Cove, and to the place that, when things were bad, Marilla told her, encouraged her to go and just sit and be still and listen. And Clodagh heads to a small hidden place only shared between her and Marilla. The mermaid's navel. And with the waters of Lake Capulet just rolling slowly back and forth, lapping against the stone pebble shore, Clodagh looks upwards and beyond the sky and the stars, and she begins to sing.
Sleep, oh babe, for the red bee hums, the silent twilight's full. Evil from the grey rock comes to wrap the world in thrall. A land van, oh my child, my joy, my own, my heart's desire. The crickets sing you lullaby beside the dying fire. Dusk is drawn and the green man's horn is wreathed in rings of fog. Shiva sails his boat till morn upon the starry bog. A land van, oh, the paly moon has ringed her cusp in dew, and weeps to hear the sad sweet tune I sing, oh love, to you.
And she lets her voice echo out across the lake and into the world, and she thinks of Marilla Whistlecoil, and she sets off on a journey of her own. This was Romancing the Dungeon. You've been listening to Amber as Hephaesta, Sam as Nate, Louise as Fia. I don't put an apostrophe between Nate Louise, so it's like Sam as Nate Louise as Fia. James as Cael, and a special thank you to Eilis for her work and performance as Clodagh. Our theme song, Haunted, is by Ghost of Red Mountain. Title card and artwork by Ralph is redacted. I'm Declan, and I've been your Dungeon Master. If you like what you heard and want to know more about the show and the world of Romancing the Dungeon, check us out on social media at D8 Dungeon. Plenty of behind-the-scenes shenanigans, giveaways, and a growing community of daters over on our Discord channel. Don't forget, we're also on Twitch these days with a new show every second Sunday called Rise of the Forsaken. It's a whole new world, whole new characters, some familiar voices. We're back in 2 weeks' time. If that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, we're back in 2 weeks' time. And we'll see you then. Actually, before I forget, Clodagh Medamoon is returning.